Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Great Day Houston. I'm Deborah Duncan.
Warner, no, you're not. Actually, you used to do a show here at KHOU 11, but not today. Hey, coming up on Great Day Houston, the wonderful life of Warner Roberts, who is a trailblazer in television for many women like me. Great Day starts, say now.
Right now.
Get ready for fun. Get ready for laughs. Get ready to have a great day. It's Great Day Houston. And now, here's your host, Deborah Duncan.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Great Day Houston. We are starting off today's show with not only a dear friend of mine, but a woman who was also a trailblazer in the television industry. Back in the 1970s, television executives were still trying to figure out if women could be taken seriously in the news and talk show business. They were good to look at, but the serious work was for the men, or so they thought. Warner Roberts challenged that notion, getting the interviews others could not. She prayed with Billy Graham. She sat down with First Ladies Nancy Reagan and Rosalind Carter. But her adventure began with interviewing another female trailblazer in television, Lucille Ball.
The name of the game is MAME, and the name of the lady is Lucy.
Warner's book, Life is an Adventure, 8 Steps to a Happy Life, is available now in both paperback and electronic form, and she is joining us today. Good morning, Warner.
Good morning, Dawn. Thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me be Deborah for just 2 minutes.
Right.
One minute,
well, thank you for being
30 seconds.
Warner for the time that you were Warner, because you really did open the door for a lot of women. It's hard to believe it today, but back in the 70s, they still were trying to figure out how credible women could be.
I was so lucky. Your station, Channel 11, sent me to Chicago. That was my first interview. First one ever. So you have to stay in line with, I was R. Roberts, so I was way down in the line to get my interview with her. And so at
Lucille Ball, we're talking about.
With Lucille Ball, she said, absolutely no more interviews. I'm tired. I'm going home. I ran over to Mr. Morton. Gary Morton was her husband at the time, and I said, Mr. Morton, this is my first interview. They've sent me from Houston, Texas. I have to go home with the tape, or I'm going to get fired before I get hired. So anyway, he made her do the interview, and she was so cold and mean to me. If you watch the whole thing, which you don't want to do, I know, but she was so cold until I happened to say, I always thought that Lucy was a 4-letter word for love.
Oh, wow.
Well, she just melted. I got 10 minutes, 12 minutes instead of the 6 minutes. He said it was the best interview of the day, and I took a tape home to Channel 11. So
with
that was
Lucille Ball.
Yes, that was my very first tape. What was your very first tape?
Oh, my very first interview was actually, they sent me to the governor's mansion to do an interview with the governor's aide at the time. And I walked in and said, I need to talk to the governor's aide. And they said, he's not here. I was like, just like you, I went, no, they're going to fire me, and I'm not even getting paid right now as an intern, right? So I kept insisting that I meet the governor's aide wherever he was or whatever I needed to do, and the governor stuck his head out of his office. It was Governor White at the time, and he said, you can talk to me. And I was like, my specific instructions were to talk to the governor's aide. So, but he ended up giving me a sit-down interview, and that led to my very first job in the business.
I think it's a God thing.
It's a God thing. There you go. Speaking of a God thing, Billy Graham was another interview that you did.
What my favorite. People will ask me over and over, what was your favorite interview? And he was, I can't explain him. He was just so real, so down to earth. And I asked him, he was just so sweet, how do you pray?
Yeah.
And he said, I just talk to God all day long. And I do that. I sort of talk to God all day long. So I could really relate to him. He was a wonderful person. But then there was Kirk Douglas, and I love Barbara Jordan.
We the people of these United States.
Who were some of your favorite interviews?
Barbara Jordan was one of mine, because in 6th grade or 7th grade, we actually had a trip to Washington, D.C. This is what happened if you have 2 talk show hosts on at the same time. We interview each other, right?
Well,
but we had a trip to Washington,
wants to know about her.
Wait, no, but
they don't care about me. They want to know about her.
No, but Barbara Jordan was the first African-American female I'd ever seen in a textbook. And it was a small picture in my Texas, history book. And I was like, wow. I told my mom I really want to see her, and she said we could not afford the trip to Washington, D.C. So a friend of mine had a great idea. She said, why don't you write Barbara Jordan and tell her to write your mom and tell your mom that you need to come. Of course, the naivety of children, right? I wrote her. A couple of weeks later, I get a letter back, and it said, "Dear Miss Duncan, education must be your first concern. If there's any way to get your daughter to Washington, D.C., me, I'll meet her on the steps of Congress. And she met me on the steps of Congress with my class.
There was something about Barbara Jordan. Every word that she said, excuse me, was meaningful.
Yeah.
And her voice was so beautiful. And that makes me think of Gloria Swanson. She came to the studio and we couldn't get people into the building. They wanted to see her desperately. She was a little older, but what I remember about her, she had the most beautiful voice. And if you were on the telephone with her, you would have thought she was 25 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay.
She had
just like a silky
beautiful
voice, right?
But
Speaking of...
yes, voices.
Carol Channing, who always said, she goes, people always made fun of her voice,
I know.
but it's what got her where she is, right?
Absolutely.
A kiss on the lips might be quite continental, but diamonds are a girl's best friend. Oh, I want her, I love you.
Hey,
Look at, I love that woman.
I did that.
I was with you.
Well, that we did together, but I did a theatrical performance of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and I was Lorelei in that production.
That's
I
awesome.
wanted to sing all my life, but then I wanted to segue into television from modeling, and that's sort of how. Modeling was such an accident for me. I was standing at the elevator.
You were just accidentally pretty?
No, no. I was
happened?
standing at the elevator at Neiman's, and someone said, "Are you the model?" And I wanted to say, "Oh, yes, I am," but I didn't do that. But I did set about to get those jobs.
You're at the elevator. And you said, but look at you were at the elevator, and you said, you know, I wonder what that would be like. And look
I
at
think
this.
I can do that. But anyway, I had a wonderful career in modeling. I was so lucky to work all the time, but then segued into television. Tell me how you decided you wanted to be in television.
My teacher told me I should use my personality, and my drama teacher and my cousin who worked for CBS Network News at the time said, use your personality, because I thought I was going to be a pediatric neurosurgeon, and I took Latin for 8 years. I was preparing. I was laying the groundwork to be a doctor. And she said, I know your little ADHD brain. You love medicine, but you love history. You love art. You love politics. You love people. You love everything. She goes, and this is a job that will give you everything. And she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. We get everything in this job. Another person that you interview was Chuck Norris.
Yes, all these people would keep coming on the show, you know, and I was learning all the time. All these boxers would come. We would put up, what do you call those things? Boxing
gloves?
What are the
no,
the things?
Oh, the boxing bag.
Yes,
the bag.
And
Punching bag.
he would try to teach me a karate move, but it was so much fun. But wait, let's stop right now with your teacher. I know that your viewers know that you're a great singer. You know, she's a great singer. She sings all the time. Do you know that she is a great comedian? I don't know that you know that, but you probably do by now know that. But wait a minute, wait, just wait, it's my turn.
This is where ADHD lives.
It is my turn. Right. Do you know that she could be a medical doctor within 6 months? She knows so much about the health of the human body. She really could diagnose everybody here and make you well. But not only that, she could run for office and be a politician. She is the epitome of what you can be if you have an IQ like this and talent like this. It's overflowing. Now talk about my book.
Okay. Okay. Well, all the stuff we're talking about is in your book. You know, you talked about being a model, but you are also a model citizen. We know that you love hearts. In fact, you're like Warner Hart is like your kind of nickname, and philanthropy is very, very big for you. But tell us where the heart part came from, because we go to your house and we always ask you, "Are you tired of getting hearts as gifts?"
No.
We have heart jewelry, heart crystals, and you're like.
And plus, I did a heart museum in Texas Heart Institute lobby. So if you go there, I worked 2 years on putting this together, and the most beautiful hearts from all these international stars and national stars and you all over the lobby. It's called Celebration of Hearts. I did it. I love hearts. Okay, when I would go to New York to model, I would take a little heart-shaped frame with my boys, my son's pictures in there, and little quotes. So I started loving hearts when I started loving my 2 sons. I have the best family in the entire world. No wonder I can say 8 steps to a happy life. No wonder I've had a fabulously happy life. I have Phantom, my husband nobody ever sees, but I do have a husband. And I have 2 sons that are the greatest. 2 beautiful daughter-in-laws that I'm totally in love with.
I'm gonna back up a second. You said, you're wonderful. For a long time, we were like, sure, she has a husband.
Sure, nobody
right?
believes
But,
that.
That's what's so wonderful about your marriage, though. It's like he knows what you love to do, and he lets you go do it, and you go fly, you go soar, and when he has to show up, like a lot of guys of women in television, when they have to show up, then they do.
He does.
Right?
And 5 great grandsons. I have to throw that in. I have the best family in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
But you were talking about modeling. I started doing self-improvement classes. You talked about personality.
Yeah.
I used to do sitting, standing, walking, modeling, how to hold your bag, put on your makeup, and personality. I did that one little part, a self-improvement part.
'Cause you've got personality.
Something personality. I wish I knew those words. But at any rate, then that's when I realized it doesn't matter if you can sit, stand, put on makeup, be beautiful. If you don't have self-confidence, the confidence in yourself, to love yourself, that's how I started my first little step.
Today it would be
program.
on Instagram. But okay, so you know, we've always told you should write a book. You should write a book because there's so many parts of your life, as much as we think we know you, that we didn't know until we read this book. And so, why did you decide now to write the book? And what is it that you want people to get out of it? Because it's funny, it's interesting. It talks about how when you don't believe you can get something done, God takes over and gets it done. But what is it you want people to get out of the book, and why did you decide to write it now?
Well, a lot of people, as you say, wanted me to write a book. I don't know why. They probably wanted me to write a fiction or something. But it's all about me, and it's all about how I have maintained such a happy life throughout all these years.
Yeah.
So that's what I want them to get out of that, is that we have to learn to love ourselves. The second step that I have is that you have to make happiness a habit. Now, you're happy all the time, but that's not an easy thing. You have a choice every single day when you get up. You can be happy or you can mess up the whole day.
You got to know what to let go of.
Yeah.
You got to know what's really important.
If you don't brush your teeth, they're going to rot. If you don't make the right decision, baby, it's going down. So there are others, you know, set a goal. What is it that you really want? You've got to live with that in the front of your head.
Love
You've
your
got
unique self, positive thoughts, positive results. Fear is faith turned upside down.
Fear is I was so scared on everything I've ever done, and I've been rejected 100,000 times, but I just get back up, and I don't call fear failure. I call it a learning experience.
And I call rejection kind of like God's like little bumpers that kind of put you back on the road where you're supposed to be. It's like, you know, you're going off on the wrong.
I've been rejected so many more times than I've been accepted.
And we're going to turn around and say it's not rejection, it's pointing you in the right direction. How about that?
I'm loving it.
Yeah, y'all can use that. Y'all can use that.
I love it. So there are 8 steps, and I'm hoping that, I know that everybody has their own steps, but these are the ones that have served me so well.
And I love making happiness a habit, you know, and basically just enveloping what all life has to give, because you have to live a little, laugh a little, let your poor heart break a little. That's the glory of love. One day we're going to get the words together and do a concert.
I don't know that song.
Yeah, I don't know.
Pick another one. Pick another one. As we go off. You gotta have friends.
I don't know that one.
Okay, we won't do that one. But wait a minute, you know so many. Think of something.
You put me on. We'll think of something with a commercial break. How about that? We'll come back later with some requests. We'll take requests from our guests today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Warner.
Life is an adventure with you.
Yes, and this book and part of the proceeds benefit the Mission of Yahweh, which is a wonderful place for homeless women and their children. So there you go, available today.